Hey, welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. I'm your host. I am Mary Anders, as you know, and I help nonprofit leaders master the art of influence so they can ask for and receive all they want, need, and deserve, and do it in a way that feels good and aligned and authentic. Because who wants to be pushy or weird? Because that's not fun. And I'm here, of course, every time I do a podcast, I make a new best friend. And my new best friend is Jen Recla. And we are going to talk about leadership in nonprofit, all kinds of cool stuff, avoiding burnout, taking back your time, setting better boundaries. And I'm sure I hope this is like ding, ding, dinging everybody's list. Hi, Jen. I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, Marianne, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Okay, so I want to share a little bit about you. You're a leadership coach, facilitator, and adventure seeker. You're going to have to tell me more about that. Who
Yep.
helps leaders navigate their workload, build team trust, and lead with clarity, even when demands are high and resources are thin. Gee, who could that be about? And 15 years in leadership coaching and organizational development. And we're practical yet energizing approach to helping mission-driven leaders feel more capable and connected to their work. And this is like every word in that is resonates with me. So I
Mhm.
know this is going to be a great conversation. So before we start, I always ask the first question, which is tell me something you're proud of that you don't get to brag about a lot. Not a typical thing in your life, but just something that you're proud of that you don't brag about a lot.
I think this is not work related. This is more relationship related. But I think something I'm really proud of is a community that I have built in Colorado. Once you get out of college, it's hard to make close friendships, especially with females, I've found. And I have a couple of kids, and there's a fog when that happens. But I've worked really hard to create a strong community of
Oh,
women. We have a book club in our neighborhood. It's gotten up to about 15 women. There's a group of five other women that I go on wine trips with every year, and we have just created such strong bonds. And I'm the one that kicked it all off. So it's something I'm really proud of that I
yeah.
very rarely talk about.
I love it. And because you had a need and you figured out a way to fill the need.
Yeah,
And
I'm very extroverted. I need people.
yeah, me too. And I'm home all day, and almost every evening there's like this little bar by my house, and I'll just go there and like watch a game and just talk with people, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so much
hmm
better. Um,
hmm
because although I talk all day, it's different. It's like just being out, if I'm
Yeah.
not doing trivia night or something, I'll just find something to go do. Okay. And I want to say one thing really quick is because you're like, this isn't work related, but I think everything is related. One of
Yeah.
the philosophies is how you show up one place is how you show up every place. And this idea of like, oh, work life and personal life, it's crap. Like,
hmm
I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like the skills that you use to create that community are the same skills that you would use, right, to build your business or, you know what I mean? Or help coach somebody into navigating, creating a community for themselves.
Yeah.
I just feel like how you show up one place is how you show up every place. And this idea of like, people say, oh, but this is about person. It's all the same. It's all
Yeah.
just us, and if you're doing it at work or with friends or whatever, it's the same because I teach people influence, right? And you can
hmm
have influence in professional relationships, personal relationships, family relationships. It's just relationship. Like you said, it's relationship building.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because as I said the word community to you, I thought to myself, oh, this is something that I do in my work as well. I don't know why I said that.
Right? You
You
knew
know,
how to do it, yeah. But a
yeah,
different application makes you think it's different. It really isn't.
right.
And right.
Exactly.
And I also just love the idea of like creating community and communities of support. Um, and that you just went out and like, hey, I'm gonna make this book club, and then people are like, oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what leaders do.
hmm hmm
And good leaders go first. Okay, so that's I want to talk about. I have a few questions, and then we're just gonna get rolling into this. But one of the things that we work on a lot in the work that I do is, right, you give from the overflow, not the depths of the well, right? The Rumi quote. And I work with a lot of people come to me and they probably come to you and they are just out of gas. The tank is empty.
Yeah.
And so how can you understand or spot the signs of that the tank is, getting low before it becomes completely defeated, depleted, and you have like no energy or feel totally burnt out.
Yeah, so some of the signs that I've seen with individuals really are dependent on who they are. So I think getting to know people, getting to know what makes them tick, what strengths they have has been really helpful in my position as a formal leader in the past and as a coach now as well. So once I've understood that, the red flags are things that are outside what I normally see. So someone who typically is very neutral or very calm in their emails changes their tone. All of a
Hmm.
sudden they're answering my email within 5 minutes, and I can see that the email is very choppy or in bullet point type form versus the sentences that they usually send to me. That's my sign to say, hey, text them or send them a message on Slack or Teams to say, just checking in, how's everything going? I saw
Yeah.
your email,
Yeah.
and just see how they're doing. So that's a red flag. I would say things like snappiness, jumping to
Hmm.
conclusions, getting too far into the weeds.
Yeah.
Those have been signs that I've seen. I've also seen with individuals who have people pleasing tendencies, for example, reaching out and asking, how can I help you? How can I help you? And then taking on as much as they can, almost overflowing their plate even more
Yeah.
because they want to feel needed, and then they're not able to meet those deadlines. And then
Yeah.
they become resentful to
Yes.
the people that are asking those. So those are some of the things that I see. I see with perfectionism as well. That
Hmm.
tends to get exacerbated, and individuals get a little bit more nitpicky or critical about themselves or other people. So those are some flags that I see.
Yeah. It was just like my husband's going through something. He runs a company, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, there's a lot of those things
Mm-hmm.
happening with him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of things I would add to that, in my view. One of them is language. So I need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like, so that is like, and then instead of like, oh, I get to, I choose to, it's like that, and
Yeah.
that burdensome, I have to, and all of that. And then the other thing is like what I call piling it on. So you're really stressed or you feel like overwhelmed, and then you just start adding things to it, like, and I've never updated my LinkedIn profile. You're like,
Yes.
whoa, 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 like, wow. Like you're just going to put in everything you've never done that you had on, and I do this too. I make a list. I was telling my friend, I make a list of things that I want to get done on the weekend that no human possible could ever get done. And if I do get it done, I am worthless the next 2 days, right? Like I
Mhm.
just kill myself. Like and I was telling him, I got about 80% done. He goes, well, 80% done sounds really great to me. And I'm like, you know what? That is a great reframe, because I was thinking like, but also I'm setting myself up because there's no way I can ever get this done. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that is like that kind of like overachieving perfectionism of like, I have so much to do and like I can do it. And you're setting yourself up for failure, to feel bad about yourself every day, instead of like, instead of getting done what you can get done and like feeling really good about that.
Yeah. There's a tool that I use called Clifton Strengths, and one of the strengths is achiever. And so a lot of people that I've coached in the past, work with in the past, they have achiever in their top strengths. Achievers start every day at zero and just want to get as much done. So it often, especially when we're stressed as an achiever, it's more about quantity than quality. And so
Yes.
for those individuals, I really recommend, what's the one thing? The one thing, if you accomplished it today, it would make you feel like you got something done, that you worked towards the big picture, the goals that you're focused on. So focus on that one thing and let the other things fall by the wayside. Either they're
Mm,
not going to happen today, or if they happen, that's a bonus. That's extra. But just focus on the one thing that would help you have the ripple effect that you want moving forward. That's the thing that's going to help me tomorrow and next week and the
yeah.
next week.
I think the story that I was telling myself for a while is I just don't get enough done. And so a colleague and I was part of a coaching program. And colleague and I, we would leave each other little voice notes at the end of the day, telling each other what we had done. I'm like, I actually got a lot done, but as an achiever, right? Like, I feel like, oh, it's never quite enough, right? It's never quite
Mm-hmm.
enough. And
Mm-hmm.
and so you to focus on the things that you didn't do, which were never ever going to happen anyway. And to so that I could, keep feeling that way, that desire, and then waking up the next day. I love what you said at being at zero, right? And I have to go prove
Yeah.
myself all over again. And at the end, we did it for about 3 months, and then we just naturally ended it because we realized we do get a lot done. And but
Yeah.
this that physical inventory. I had a call once with this woman, and she was amazing. And she's like, Marianne, I just want you to know I'm a rock star. And I'm like, love you. And then she said, I have this whiteboard and everything I didn't get done, I put on this whiteboard and I go home at night and I sit in my hot tub and I drink a beer and I think about everything's on that board. And I said, well, where's the stuff that you got done? And she said, oh, it's on this notepad. I'm like, okay, let's switch. How about this? Why don't
Mm-hmm.
you put everything you got done on your whiteboard? Put everything you didn't in that notebook because that'll be there for tomorrow. And I want you to go
Yeah.
sit in your hot tub and think about what a rock star you are because a rock star would go, I'm awesome. And you drink that beer, think about how amazing you are and everything that you got done. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, I never thought about it. But like how we think about things really dictates, right? Like, because she was always focused on what didn't happen instead of what did. And I
Yeah.
think this is natural. And that's why I'm talking about
Yes.
this because I think everybody listening can relate to this because we, as mission driven people, like, I feel like we have an extra responsibility, right? To show up, to be present, to work hard, to not give up, to keep trying even when you're depleted.
Yeah. There's a book called The Gap and the Gain. I don't know if you've heard of it before,
Mm-mm.
but the concept behind it is that we naturally focus on the gap between where we are now and our ideal versus focusing on the gains from yesterday, from last week, from 1 year ago. So I'm working with this executive team, and we did a planning session last month, and I did an exercise with them, kind of inspired by that idea. Where we focused on the last 6 months. What are all the gains for you individually? What are all the gains for your team? What are all the gains for the organization? So they could really see the progress and the momentum that they've made over the past 6 months. Because nonprofits, a lot of them are getting really hit hard with some of the things that are changing
Yeah,
right now. And so it was a way to pull people out of the downward spiral and really focus on the momentum and continuing to build that momentum.
yeah. I love that. That's why I like KPIs so much because I feel
Hmm.
like they're really focused on those small gains, right? Like what are the little wins? Because the little wins will end up with big wins eventually, right? If you keep doing the little wins, they'll end up to the big wins.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so then the next thing I want to talk about a little bit um is understanding how we can turn feedback into something productive. The reason is,
Hmm.
I think this is important because I've coached a lot of people, and in the meeting, everybody's like, yeah, great. This is wonderful because they're just so nice and they want to be nice and they want to be agreeable, but they actually don't agree at all. And they will thwart a process, right? They will start to, and I don't think any of this is conscious. I think this is very subconscious operation. They will sort to subvert or thwart a process because they actually don't agree with it. They just don't know how to share it.
Hmm.
And one of the things I really work on is, giving and receiving feedback. I think that we tend to, again, want to achieve and be amazing all the time. And also, really, sometimes not just don't know how to receive it, we don't know how to say it. And
Yeah.
if you don't know how to say it, then you'll be quiet. I don't want to upset anybody, or no one else agrees with me. Like I work with clients, and they're just like so nice because
Hmm.
they don't know how, but there is an underlying resentment that will eventually come out.
Hmm. Yeah. So a foundation of a good positive feedback culture is really around psychological safety. And the idea behind psychological safety is you're building a space where people feel like they can be candid without consequences. They're not going to be punished or shamed or blamed for sharing their thoughts and their feedback. So, building that safety around your team, around your organization is a place where all leaders need to start and need to focus on. And it's different than trust. Sometimes people use those terms interchangeably, but trust is really about the one-to-one relationship. Psychological safety is more about the group. It's how we function as a group and feel like we have the space to show up as our real selves and share our real thoughts. Now, with that, right, you also need the skill of being able to give feedback. And I think models and frameworks can be really helpful around this. Crucial Conversations, Crucial Accountability are two books that I highly recommend to leaders, especially in the nonprofit space, because we know we need to have lots of tough conversations and we know we need to have some constructive feedback conversations with individuals too. So those are great frameworks. Radical Candor is another great framework. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but it's really focused on how I provide feedback in a way that I'm showing you I care about you as a person and I'm going to be direct with the way that I challenge things. So those are some great frameworks. At the end of the day, I think the most important skill or piece of all of this that I share and encourage and coach leaders on is making sure that you have healthy intent going into those conversations because the
Hmm.
framework that can show you how to craft your message, but it's your intent that's what people see. And if you go into that conversation thinking I'm right, I'm trying to win, I'm shaming the other person, or I know you're wrong, it's going to come off that way and you're going to put the other person on the defensive. So it's really important to have healthy intents like I want to strengthen this relationship. I want to help you succeed. I want to I want to help make this the best possible product, program, whatever it is
Right.
that you're rolling out. So that intent piece is really important as well. And then, understanding what your triggers are when you're receiving feedback, not just in yourself. And creating that space for other people to give you feedback, but noticing it in other people when they're going on the defensive. Ooh, what did I just trigger? Is it the content that I shared with them? Could it be a relationship challenge that we have with each other? Could it be that I change the story that they believe about themselves and it's more of a deep-seated identity challenge? So there's a few different things I think we look at when we're trying to build this culture where people have feedback. And then the last thing I would say is being really specific. Sometimes I think we put something out there, or we're having a conversation with someone and we ask for general feedback, and you kind of get the deer in headlights because it's not specific enough. So ensuring that you're asking very specific questions of individuals if you want feedback. If you just ask a general question, you might not get to the crux of what the challenges or the issues might actually be.
Right. It's like, hey, let me know what you think of this event. Let me know what you thought of the registration process, or like asking a very specific
Yes.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, or here's where I see a gap. What do you think? Maybe pointing out a couple of gaps that you notice can help get the conversation going, or even assigning somebody in the group. Hey, could you be the devil's advocate? Could you just come, even if you agree with this, could you just come in with some questions so that we make sure that we're looking at this from all sides? So you're
Right.
kind of giving somebody permission to be disruptive.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And one of the things I think I love what you said was about what I call just kind of like checking your bias. Do a personal
Hmm.
inventory. Is this serving me or is this serving you? Right? Is this making me feel better about myself? Is this going to add? But and the other thing is, one of the things I work on a lot is wisdom versus experience versus advice. So
Hmm.
advice is a conversation killer, and advice is like, oh, I've been so tired lately. Oh, you know what I do when I'm tired? Like you're outdoorsy. I like to go for a hike. And then people like, okay. Instead like, oh, you're tired. Tell me what's going on. And I, as I mentioned at the top, I coach people on influence. And one of the things is that more decision making you give somebody, the more likely they're going to decide what you want. So any
Hmm.
wisdom that I share, and wisdom is from lived experience, right? It's not advice. It's wisdom furthers a conversation, right? And it comes from a lived experience, but it's also given that it's not a directive. It's like, could could I could can I give you can I share what I would do if I were you? Or would it be
Hmm.
okay if I shared something for you? And they get to decide yes or no. And most of the time
Right,
people say yes, but it's still their choice, right? So like,
right.
would it be okay if I shared a little bit? Like one of my favorites is, could I tell you what I would do if I were you?
Hmm.
And you can decide that. And I think that keeps people from getting defensive, like, oh, I'm being told, like you're doing it wrong. Like,
Right.
Autumn, you're going to get defensive. Um, and I think this is such a skill because again, it's so important what you're doing because I think it really thwarts a meaningful conversation because we don't want to it stirs up our feelings of like guilt and shame or inadequacy when we feel criticized or judged. And
Yeah,
that can really, and we don't, I think, unless you're conscious and doing the work and really understanding how you function, it's really easy to feel hurt. and
yeah,
and then others like, I don't want to hurt anybody. So I'll just, when the risks are too high, you just stay quiet.
yeah. Well, and so in that radical candor model that I was talking about, there's one area that the author Kim Scott talks about called ruinous empathy. And she says this is the worst of all of them. This is when you stay silent because you want to be kind or you want to be nice, because you care about the person and you don't want to hurt their feelings. And the reason why this is the worst versus just challenging them directly and maybe not showing a lot of care is at least then it's put out there. When you challenge someone directly, but you don't do it in the best way, you might do some damage to the relationship, but the person at least knows that the feedback exists versus ruinous empathy, where, well, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, then they don't know. So then they could
Right.
be continuing doing the things that they're doing. Other people are also very critical of them and maybe talking behind their back. And they're just continuing to spiral in this place that's not helpful and they don't know about it. So it's if we truly care about people, then we're doing them a kindness to point things out that could help them. That could help them improve and get better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned before Dr. Aaron, one of my coaches, and he always says, do you want to be nice or do you want to be valuable? And you can decide,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that
Yeah,
and I think in the end we want to be valuable. We just don't always know how. But I love that, like by being so nice, like I don't want to hurt their feelings, like they're not really getting, first of all, you're making an assumption that you're going to hurt feeling. That's a big
sure.
assumption, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And second, yeah, now they don't really have any information.
Yeah.
You're withholding probably some pretty good feedback and information.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked to a lot of people who they want that feedback. They want to know. I was on a call with someone yesterday that was disappointed that she's not getting as much feedback as she wants, right? Like the kudos and the shout outs and the appreciation, that's nice, but that's not going to help me. That's telling me what I'm already doing well, but it's not telling me how I can improve. And that's what I really want to focus on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that want this information.
Yes. Yes. And I love the idea of like empathy and validation because I feel like that is the key. Most people just want to feel seen, heard, and understood. And once they do
Yeah.
that, they'll relax and they'll be more open to what you have to say.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that is also part of that psychological safety,
Hmm.
right? When people feel seen, they feel heard, they feel valued, they're much more likely to share
Yes.
and be candid.
So I have to tell you this really quick. On Friday night, my family, we do little game nights and we're at my brother's house and my great niece, FaceTimed my niece and she was crying because her sister got to go on a sleepover. Her big sister got to go on a
No.
sleepover.
Hmm.
So older kids getting, as I'm a later in life child, so older kids getting to do stuff that the younger one, this is my wheelhouse. Okay. I was like, give me the phone. And I was talking to my great niece and she's like, and she's crying. I said, and I was telling her, I'm so proud of you for saying how you feel. I know it's so
Hmm.
hard to be left behind. I know you don't understand why they wouldn't want to be with you and all this stuff. And I'm talking to my niece and I said, do you want to feel better? Or do you want to stay sad? And she goes, I want to stay sad. And I said, okay, you can stay sad. That's all right. And
Hmm.
and then I said and I look up and I look around and we're all sitting around this table and my sisters had tears in their eyes and they're like,
Oh.
that was the sweetest bit of coaching I've ever seen. I'm like, oh, and it just came so naturally. And this is what I'm talking about, how you show up one place as you show up, because the natural skills of empathy and validation and giving
Hmm.
her like, and not trying to solve it, not trying to fix it, not trying to make her feel better, just saying, it's okay, I get it. I got left behind too. I
Yeah.
know how much it hurts. I know how much you want to do what your sister's doing, how it hurts to be at home when she's not, and all the things, and like, and giving her the choice to stay sad or not is just planting the seed in her that you get to decide if you want to stay sad or if you want to feel better. That's your
Yeah.
choice. And anyway, I just look and they're like, and I'm like, that was what I'm like, oh, thanks. It's what I do. But how I approached a 7-year old who was upset is how I would approach, because we're really all just 7-year olds in big adult bodies, but the same, we all of these childhood wounds come up in
Yeah.
right in our life. And so, yes, I would speak to a 7-year old as I speak to an adult, but it's all rooted in empathy and validation and connection and like really seeing, I say, you love people for who they are, not what they can do for us or who we want them to be. Like just loving her for where she's at and not wanting her to like feel better or be different. Because I
Yeah.
just find the more you do that, the more people are going to stay in the position they're in because
Yeah.
they don't feel understood.
Yeah. They dig their feet in. I have had similar experiences with my daughter. She's 10. And really, when she comes to me with challenges with friends, because that's kind of where she's at in her age group right now, lots of challenges with friends, just to be there, to listen, to stay curious, and then ask her what she needs. Are you looking for support right now? Are you looking for mommy to give you hugs and just be with you? Are you looking for advice? That's the same thing I would do as a leader as well,
Yeah.
right? Is checking in and saying, what are you looking for right now? Are you looking for just space to share? And are you looking for me to help provide some tools or resources, remove barriers, support? Really staying curious, staying present with the person, and then asking them for what they want or they need.
Yeah. That it seems so logical and yet sometimes we forget to do it. And oftentimes it's
Hmm.
because in us we want to fix their problem right away because it's making us feel uncomfortable. Like I want you to feel better
Right.
because I feel bad that you feel bad, so I
Yep.
got to fix it. And so it's like holding on to that and just understanding that, okay, this is just stirring stuff in me. It's okay. Like, what can I do for you? With my son, I say, do you want to talk about it? Do you need space or do you want a diversion? Like, do you want to do you want
Yeah.
to talk about it? Do you want to be left alone or do you want to like go get Ted Drews or something? Like, and most of the time he says, I just want to be left alone. I said, okay, no problem. Because if I'm going to come in there, and I think that's a great thing, like, what do you need? Because sometimes we just want to vent. Sometimes we just want to be left
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes like, oh, can we just work on something else for a while or, and just to process, give people time to figure out, to process something. And so I think asking is a wonderful thing. All right. This is great. I want to dive into one more thing because it's on your
Okay.
website and I'm excited. One of the things you talk about is in your coaching is your nights and weekends back by setting
Yeah.
clear priorities and delegating with confidence. I think this is a huge, huge deal. How do we set clear priorities and delegate with confidence? Give me a little
Yeah.
nugget of what that looks like.
Yeah. So this is something that I is so important to me because I've just been on too many calls with tiers of leaders who have
Yeah.
they've reached their limit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I had made a decision when I got into leadership that that wasn't going to be me ever. And so I made sure that I had my nights, I had my weekends. It was really important to me. And how can I show others how to do the same? So a starting place is really to take a step back, zoom out, and focus on what's important to you. What's your purpose? What's driving you? What are your values? What are your goals? Really understanding the most important pieces because we get sucked into the weeds and then we think everything is important. When we zoom out, we can really start focusing on the things that matter the most to us. And that's going to help us weed out the things that aren't as important. And this also helps us to step away from urgency because that's our tendency, right? Is to step
Mm-hmm.
into this urgency mindset where everything is on fire and I have to address everything all at once. But when that happens, nothing is really urgent. You cannot move all of these pieces all at the same time. So starting with importance, starting with what your goals are, what your values are, setting those in place, and then doing a lot of calendar work.
Mm.
I recommend to every leader that you have a meeting with yourself every Monday morning for 30 minutes where you zoom out and you focus on what's most important. And then you go through your calendar and you nope the things that aren't serving you, where you're not really providing value. There's half of my team is on this call. We really only need one representative to be there. I can take a step back, or you know what? There's someone else on my team that could do this just as good as me, and it'd be a great learning opportunity for them. So let me see if I can plug them in. Or there's a meeting on my calendar to talk about something that we really don't need to start talking about for another 3 months, so I can move it. Or this hour conversation, this could be a 20-minute
Hmm.
conversation instead. So it's really being real thoughtful and more strategic about what you're saying yes and no to. And this is also where I recommend calendar blocking. So you're blocking focus time, strategic thinking time. You're blocking work time for things that need to get done, deliverables. So you're really protecting your time, and you're looking out 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time and doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So calendar work is really important. Noping things is really important. I recommend starting with noping one thing a week just to get in the habit of it. And then another piece that I work with leaders on and highly recommend focusing on is your emails, batching emails instead of answering them throughout the day, pausing them. There's actually a tool called Boomerang where you can pause your emails so they're not constantly coming in because we get distracted from all these notifications,
Yeah,
right?
and I turn on I have no notifications. I don't have any
Yeah,
notifications on my computer or on my phone. My husband, I think, is already probably a little ADD. And it's just constantly pinging, and it
yeah,
is like that is one thing that I do not have notifications. So I'm sort of doing that in the sense of it's the same philosophy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
About yeah, and you're
And you're only going in and answering them twice a day.
right.
Because emails don't, and communicate those expectations to the people on your team as well. Emails should not be used for immediate responses. Emails are, I'll get back to you within one business day, or at least acknowledge the email within one business day. And then have another avenue for those things that are really urgent, like we'll use text messaging. Instant messaging, the expectation is that you answer within in the day. So I think creating those communication expectations with your team is important. And then boundaries, doing a boundary audit. Figure out what do I need? What do I want? Where do I feel like I'm really struggling? What boundary do I need to set around that? And then communicate those boundaries with other individuals. So
Yeah.
maybe the boundary is that I'm not going to work past a certain time. I'm not going to answer emails on Saturdays and Sundays. And the thing that I think really helps and hits homes for leaders as well is reminding them that they are the role model. I've
Yes.
talked to leaders before that
Yep.
said that I asked them, "Do you expect your employees to work nights or weekends?" No, absolutely not. Do you work nights and weekends? Mm-hmm. So, what message does that send to your employees? You may tell them that you don't expect that from them, but they see you doing it. So, your actions speak louder than words.
Right.
And if you're doing it, they might feel like they have the expectation to do it. Or on the other side of the coin, we're also trying to build other leaders. And if I'm seeing my leader work 70 hours a week, nights and weekends, they're exhausted. I might have aspired originally to be a leader. I don't want to be that kind of leader. I don't want it to sacrifice my personal life, my space, my health to be in that position. So the role modeling piece, I think reframing that and remembering that how we're showing up, other people are seeing and acknowledging is something that tends to shift mindsets as well.
That is so important because we set the temperature. You set the temperature, right? I said good leaders go
Yes.
first, right? You set the temperature. I worked with this team when I was very early on, and they said, they're kind of short with each other. And I said, okay, and I did some work, and then I realized that this was coming from the top, that this was something that the top executive would often, is very kind and also could be very short. And I'm going to call it terse is the word I would use. And
Yeah.
when I said, you're the model. That if you set the temperature. And now I understand that. I think sometimes as coaches, we go through these things so we can learn. We learn like,
Yeah.
okay, now I get it. But now I understand this is a top-down thing. And if I had that project again, I would approach it completely differently. Because it's one thing for a leader to say, hey, can you fix my people? No, like it starts with you, right? And so if there's
Hmm.
an issue, we have to look inside first and see, like, is there something I am doing? Okay, so when I model the kindness that I want to see, then other people, if I model that work life, that I want, then I'll have other people, but if that's like if you're saying one thing and doing another, people don't believe that it's true. Sure, she's saying
Right.
that, but I know what she's doing is this, so I should probably be doing that. Or what if
Yeah.
she's emailing me at 11 at night and now I feel like I have to answer right away, and that kind of thing. And so one of the languages that I work on that you might consider, again from Dr. Aaron, is there's boundaries and agreements. So boundaries are things we don't want, but agreements are things we do want. And I
Hmm.
feel like as a leader, it's important to put things in the perspective, what do I want? Okay, I know I don't want to be interrupted, but what do I want? Right.
Yeah.
And so if your office door is the revolving door that people can go in and out of, and you say, hey, it's a yes, and yes, I'm happy to talk to you, and I'm gonna hold up this space during the day for these kinds of things, right? Instead of just the constant knock, 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 right? Or
Yeah.
people like I had a client and she was literally sitting in a park doing paperwork, and people on her staff found her to
Wow.
ask. And I was like, so you have to say, like, what in you is making this, like, is allowing this? Because there was something in her that was like they knew she would see them if they found them. And we worked so much on like reclaiming sovereignty of your time, right? You're
Yeah.
the queen of your universe and you are the sovereign one. And you say who comes and goes, and you say when. You're not, you don't have, you're not a victim of all of this. And it was like such a cool thing to watch people like really understand that. Like, okay, so the agreement is I have this time of the day for doing that, like for that kind of, if you want an immediate response. And it's like it's so different. And like, I don't know, it's great to see people like, oh right, you don't have to do that. And also
Yeah.
you model the change that you seek. You set the temperature.
Yeah. I love that reframing of the agreements too, with the boundaries, combining those together so that it is something that's positive that comes
Right.
out of it
Like
too.
so,
So that
and
you,
sometimes you need a boundary, right? That's okay. And
yeah.
also, but a lot of times we want to focus on, okay, what do we want? And I
Hmm.
know I don't want this, but what do I want? And I work with my son, like, okay, can we agree to this? Can we agree? Can we agree to this? And like, okay, yeah, that seems reasonable. Instead of like, I don't want you to, can we agree that he's got some friends right now, and I don't think they have a place to live, which is fine.
Mm,
They can crash here every once in a while. Like, I need to know who's in the house. So when can we agree that when you have people over, you tell me that they're here?
yeah.
That kind of thing. Like, just so that instead of like, you can't have, blah, 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 like, hey, could we agree? Yeah, that's fine. And it's just a way of like moving people into your world without like you always, it doesn't always have to be the boundary, right? It can be like, hey, could we agree that this is how we're going to work? And people will challenge it. I know people will challenge it if they're used to like having a lot of access to you. They're not going to be happy, at
Yeah.
the beginning. You can it. I just think that there's often an initiation period when you set boundaries that people are like, does she really
Yeah.
mean it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me test this a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then, the focus of I'm doing this so that I can be engaged when I'm in meetings with you, so that I can provide valuable, thoughtful feedback because I'm not burnt out from working all hours. It's all of those positive things that can come out of taking care of yourself
Right.
and
Yeah.
not
What am I
burning.
saying? Yeah. What am I saying yes
Yeah.
to? I'm saying yes to being more
Yeah.
present, having more energy,
Yes. Yeah.
right? All of those things that I'm saying, instead of saying no, like, what am I saying yes to? No, I'm
Yeah.
saying no to answering emails at night, but I'm saying yes to more focused time with my family or things like that, so
Yeah.
you focus on what you're gaining.
Yeah.
Because again, we want to be helpful. Um, we want to be helpful and open and accessible as much as possible, but not to the expense, because then we won't be around to help people anymore. We'll have burnt out on our job.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we're no help to anybody.
Yeah, right? Especially ourselves. All
Yeah.
right. I want to get to one more quick topic because I'm loving this conversation. Um, so it said you said you are in your bio, you're an adventure seeker.
Yes.
So tell me about that and how that helps you in your leadership.
Yes. So my top two values are fun and adventure. They are values I've had for many years, and I was able to articulate them within the last 4 or 5 years. I actually did an exercise around uncovering what my top two values are. I don't know if you are familiar with Brene Brown, but she has a values exercise, and that's something that I did for myself. It's something I do with other leaders as well. It's something that's helped me feel really grounded in who I am, continuing to show up as my real self, as my authentic self. And it's helped me with the yes and the no. It is a
Mm,
lot clearer what I say yes and no to, because if it falls outside of those values, it is an easy no for me. It just
gotcha.
doesn't line up for that. And with the fun piece, I really do think that work should be fun. That's usually when I start working with teams where I'm the formal leader, that's one of our team norms is have fun, because who doesn't want to show up to work without some joy, right? So fun might not be the right word for some people. It could be joy. But for me, that is something that's always been really important to me. And then with the adventure piece, adventures can be very challenging. They can push you out of your comfort zone. And so that other value for me is really important, and always remembering that, because continuous growth, continuous learning, continuous improvement is really I'd say another third value if I had to pick. And it's something that has put me in positions to take risks, to experiment. And when things fail, I don't have an emotional attachment to that failure. Because for me, it's an adventure, right? I'm trying something different. It might not work. What did I learn from this? I know I'm a little messy. I know I'm a work in progress. I know there's no arrival when it comes to me as a leader, me as a parent, because there's always space to get better and to grow. So that's the adventure piece. And I spend a lot of time in the outdoors, hiking, paddleboarding, kayaking, camping, snowboarding, and I really try to push the limits as much as I can.
That is amazing. Okay. So, because one of the things I work on is like this release the outcome, and just let go of the result, and which is like exact, like you said it in a different way, but you said not, not tied to the outcome. Like, yeah, you're just going to try it and see what happens.
Hmm.
And if you do it, great. If not, you learn and it was fun to try and all of that. Like that idea, it's an adventure. It's all an
Yeah,
adventure. It's all just like an experiment. It's all information.
yeah.
And I love that. Okay. So, now this is going to arc into my last question, because as you seek fun, I seek fun, but I also seek fun in the form of like karaoke. Okay, so I am a
Yes.
bit karaoke queen, right? I told you I like ultra high heels, extra large diet cokes, and short karaoke rotations. But I see karaoke as that serves me very well, and much the same that you seek adventure, which is it's about releasing the outcome. It's about full self like self expression. It's just like having fun, letting go, and daring to try something. And because I often like, oh, what if I don't get the note? What if it doesn't right? And it's and like I people are like, but I'm karaoke, what? But I'm going to tell you, it is a great exercise in creative self-expression, in confidence, in releasing the outcome, in right, and like being um also feeling the fear and then getting up anyway,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it's okay to be afraid, it's okay to be concerned, and also like just that like the all the chakras come like because your whole body come like in adventure and the paddleboarding, your whole body comes into it,
Yeah.
right? And I was on a call with this woman and she's like, oh, I dance but I don't really dance anymore, I don't really have time for that. And I said, I would love for you to consider like putting that back in, because that's where the energy, that's where the joy comes from, right? And it's not
Hmm.
a frivolous thing, it's an important thing to your functioning. And like and I think the adventure or the karaoke, it can seem frivolous, but it's not. It's like very critical. It's that fun adventure. The adventure may look a little different, but it's the same underlying principles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I
100%.
love that for you. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And so to wrap up our conversation, because I'm in St. Louis, you're in Denver, but I am in Denver quite a bit.
Hmm.
If we're ever at a karaoke bar, what song would you sing?
Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper.
Yay!
Easy.
Yeah. Because you do just want to have fun.
I do. That and my husband made a like a slideshow for our wedding, and he asked me what song I wanted to play during my pictures, and I
So
was
girls,
easy. That's
girls
it.
just want to
Yep.
have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the theme. And I just love that. No, thank you so much. And it has been so great to talk to you. I'm going to put your info in the show notes, but I also saw that you have like a little freebie and things on your website. So I'll put your website in your link, but you do have some resources on there that
hmm
I saw.
Yeah, I have a free masterclass recording that's available for individuals. I actually just did it last week. And then there's a weekly email that individuals can sign up for where I send out free tips, free recordings, little growth challenge every week for leaders to continue to strengthen their own skills.
And then real quick, it looks like your like kind of product offerings, like is that a 6 month thing? Is that how you work?
Yeah, my main offering for coaching is a 6 month program, and then I do a lot of team development work as well. And I have a few assessment tools that I love, like Clifton Strengths I'd mentioned.
Okay, awesome. So if you're interested in getting in touch with Jen, all the information is in there. Feel free. Jen, it was great to have you. Thank you so much for sharing all you do and having a great convo with me.
Thank you for inviting me. This was a great conversation.
All right, and that's it for me in this episode of The Influential Nonprofit. As you know, if you want to reach out to me, my link's in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.